Hello, hello. Awesome. So I'm on my phone now. I think I can now bring Rachel on. Let's see. How do we do this? Good times. There we go. I think that is, can I bring you on? I think you have to come back on. So anyway, I'm just going to wait a moment for Facebook to kind of, there we go, bring a friend. There we go. So I think, can I? Okay. I'm like trying to figure out how to do this right now. All right. So for those of you who are patiently watching, thank you for your patience. Um, I am currently trying to figure out how to get you on with me. So Facebook or my phone somehow will not allow me to do this. Interesting. Add. Add. Prove. Can't bring you on. Are you on? You're on now.
Yeah, I
Yay!
know. I was, you know what? I've done this once before on my phone, and I was trying to figure out how to do it on the computer too, and then I just gave
Yeah.
up. So I'm on my
Just
phone
going
too.
just going back to phone.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're here. Woohoo!
Hi.
Bye. Awesome. So now that we're here, I'm just going to say hey and let everybody know what we're doing today, what we're all about. And then we're just gonna have a little conversation. So for those of you who are just joining in, and maybe if you don't know who I am, I'm Jen Plotnikoff. So I'm an alchemist for all the stuff that we don't like, anxiety, fear, all that kind of stuff. And I teach people how to be their own alchemist, to shapeshift that stuff into gold. So Rachel is with me today, and she is her own inner alchemist as well. She's an incredible being. She is a colleague of mine. We met actually doing Reiki training together. So she has laid her hands on me, so I know she's a powerful being. She's also did my Sacred Fear Healing Circle program. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the experiences she had, um, and some of the things that you wanted to share. So the first thing I just wanted to do is just acknowledge how much courage it takes to talk about this stuff and do it in like a live platform, not to like remind you, oh my God. But I just wanted to say that first of all, to acknowledge Rachel, but also to just remind anyone who's watching this video right now, whether you're with us live or you're watching the replay, just a reminder that, like, one, you're not alone in this. So if you are, going through your stuff, a lot of us feel and have this belief that we're like the only ones out there. And I think the important thing about this conversation that we're about to have is to just show and share that you're not alone in this, and we all struggle with similar things in different ways. And it's important to talk about this stuff. It's important to bring it to light, because it helps us heal as a collective, right? So this is really what the deeper work is all about. It's really about doing our own personal healing work, because it is a really essential piece for collective work, right? Like, I often speak to resonance when we're really taking care of our own stuff. We're actually become vessels of, we can call it positive vibration or whatever, but we're resonating that sense of wellness, that sense of deep peace in the world. And it allows other people to access it more easily, more quickly, um, and on a bigger scale, which is kind of, if both of us are healers, and a lot of you watching are healers, are intuitive people. And so this is kind of why we're here. So I just wanted to acknowledge that it is a really important piece. I'm really excited. You might feel my excitement energy and be like, oh my God, how do I do this technology energy? But so without further ado, I introduce to you the lovely Rachel English. Thank-
Hello.
Hi, thank you for joining. So you might see, I was hoping to do this on the computer so I have a hand free for notes, but because I do have some questions that I just wanted to talk about and some different topics. But let's just maybe start, just tell us a little bit about you and kind of also like what prompted you to be vulnerable and courageous and like come here and have this conversation with me live.
Um, so first I just want to start by saying that I was telling you earlier that I was like, getting nervous and then reminding myself that this I love this kind of stuff. So I'm like, you're gonna be fine once you're there. It's ridiculous. I was nervous until I was actually live with you, and now I'm feeling so much more calm. It's so silly. But it's yeah, it's funny. It's great. Anyway, so yeah, my name is Rachel English. I am a Reiki practitioner who, like many other healers or people in this field who are, wanting to help others, have gone through my own stuff. And continue to go through my own stuff. Lots of baggage to unpack over here. So um, yeah, and what prompted me to be so vulnerable and well, first and foremost, is that I just really wanted to get across, to whoever I can, how powerful you are, in what you do. So I wanted, I was kind of thinking about a way that I could, other than the typical, sharing your posts and things like that. I was had plans to, write or create a testimonial of some sort for you and the work you do in the program I went through. And then, so when you asked me to do this, it was perfect. Like yes, let's do it. And yes, I'm feeling very exposed. I think that's why I was so like, okay, I need a scarf and a sweater, like some pillows and crystals and tea and all this stuff. And we're good.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. And I really do just want to say I really appreciate this because not just obviously for my own, benefit, but for really the benefit of the collective. Because I do really feel the reason why that we often are like really sparked to do the things we do is often, it's just a reflection of our own personal journey, really helping and support other people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so that piece I think was really important as well. And so I just kind of wanted to dive in a little bit deeper because, of course, like, I have my own things that I do, and it's really important for me to bring my message to the world. But I kind of wanted you to share your own personal experience too, because, you know, obviously you have done a lot of work. Um, you have been doing self work for quite a long time. Like you're not like new to the game.
Nope.
So I kind of wanted you just to talk a little bit about, just tell us a little bit about kind of what kind of drew you to not just the program, but like this aspect of your own personal journey. Like what was going on for you that really first of all like attracted you to this work, and we're going to talk a little, I'm going to ask you a little bit later, why you think it's a bit different and what makes it different, like the program that you went through from other things. But first of all, like what was it that really made you kind of feel like I need to do this and I need to
Yeah.
do this now? Like what was going on for you that kind of triggered the like I have to?
Um, so for the last, I don't know, year and a bit, you know, like you said, I've been on this sort of personal development journey for quite a few years. Um, but I don't, for the last year and a bit, you know, it was kind of a few months postpartum with my second baby. I just had all of this. I just all of a sudden felt like I needed to get. I guess I maybe it was you know, sort of the beginning of like a dark night of the soul almost. Like it was like I had all of this, I had all the emotions. I was like, I need to get to work. Like she was 4 months old and I was like, I I need to start a business now. Like I, you know, like I've been certified as a Reiki practitioner since before my first daughter was born, you know, almost 4 years ago. But now, you know, when my I have two kids now, a toddler and a baby, and she's only 4 months old, and I'm like, no, now I need to do this now. And and I and it was kind of just a I don't know. I just had all this, yeah, this pent up like need to do something for me, I guess it kind of was. And and then, you know, so there was all this excitement around that because you know, the way that happened was funny. I just decided I was like, you know, I was level 2 certified, and I was like, I want to take the advanced course whenever our wonderful teacher Erica offers it next. And I had no idea when that was. I didn't know if she taught it once a year, twice a year. Like I had no idea. And I don't even ever remember being notified of an advanced, even though I was level 2, right? So, and then it was like, so I tell my husband this and I'm like, but I need to start practicing because I can't take the advanced if I haven't been practicing and this and that. I had all these ideas in this plan. And literally the next day I had an email from Erica saying, I'm offering advanced and it, you know, this August kind of thing, right? So I was like, woo! So it was all this excitement, and at the same time, it was like, uh, you know, it was like the highs were really high, but the lows were really low. Like things were really dark at times as well. And I, I don't know, like yeah, it was just all building up inside me. So you know, we took the advanced, and I started. Um, you know, my business and all these things, and then it's just continued to go up and down and up and down, and then um yeah, I don't know. And then I started, you know, following your stuff more closely, and every time I saw you, you know, make a post or a live video or your awesome complimentary trainings, which is just so generous. Thank you. I just every time I just felt like you were talking directly to me every time. Like I was just like, you know, it's almost strange. Like, yeah, just, you know, you're led to the people you're meant to find and the teachers and healers and you know, you're meant to find, and it was all synchronistic, and yeah. So that was what made me, I just felt, I guess, I just kind of had the darkest year. And it was not, if anybody looking from outside in, you know, I've gone through these cycles of depression and feeling better and anxiety and feeling better and all these things. And I've just been, you know, gathering more and more tools. Um, and so to anybody on the outside looking in, it wouldn't have looked like my darkest year. It was so internal. It was so far inside that I was very quietly going through all this stuff. And probably the biggest message from you and all your posts and anything that you get across was, you know, the, you know, support. Like you constantly hammering that in. So finally, I guess the the final straw was like, okay, she's right. I can't do this alone quietly anymore. Like this is enough kind of thing. And everything you said just resonated so much that I was like, okay, yeah, the time is now. The time is now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, no, it's so interesting because I mean, I myself really struggled with that, with reaching out. And same thing, most people looking at my life are like, "Oh, everything's fantastic," like most of my life. And so, I too really felt these internal battles. And of course, like for a long time, I battled it out alone until I realized that there was, support is really essential on all of these different levels. But what I'm a little bit curious too for you is that, like, what was it that about, like, what happened? What made you realize that you do needed a different kind of support? Like, what was that realization like for you?
Um, it was almost like a feeling of, it was almost like a rock bottom feeling. Like it was kind of just like, I don't know if I can describe it. Yeah, it was just kind of like, yeah, I guess we'll call it like a rock bottom feeling. Like it was just like, okay, things just were again like so dark inside my mind that and just the way I was with my kids sometimes, like so reactive over the smallest things. Like it just wasn't okay anymore. And that's probably actually my kids are probably a huge reason that I was like, okay, I need to do this because I've gone through these dark times before, but never with these little people around me that I need to be um I'm meant to be, shaping and raising, and I want nothing more than to do a good job of that. And it just, yeah, that's why it just got to the point where I was like, okay, this obviously I can't do this alone. There's not, I can read all the books I want, and I can, you know what I mean?
And
Like,
yeah, we do.
yeah, but
Right here.
it's like, yeah, there's, at some point I just if I'm not improving, I would feel better for like, a day or two or a week and then it would just go right back down. And I was like, I can't have these months of darkness anymore. It's just not serving anybody. So, yeah, it was like for me, but also, yeah, for my kids, like
Yeah.
my husband can take it. He's taken it. Not that I want to feel like that, but like
Yeah.
he's been around for some of my darkest times. But it was like, okay, no, these little people don't. Um, oh, hi, Ma.
Hi, Sharon.
Yeah, these little people don't deserve this
Yeah.
angry mom. So
Well, and I think that we all have our different reasons why we feel like, or we, trick ourselves into believing that we have to go through it on our own. But like for you, like what was the thing that you told yourself that prevented you, do you think, from reaching out? Because I think, I have my own belief system and different things that I use to kind of block me from going out and about. But like for you, what was that for you, do you think?
Um, for me, I think it was mostly um, money related. For me, it was like, I don't know, I can't spend the money on this. I can't spend the money on the support. Um, and that's as far as I've dug around that thus
Yeah.
far. I know that there's more to it because another kind of trigger for me that I needed support was like something so simple. Like my in-laws were here for dinner and I was like getting up to go around to the other side of the table to get what I needed for, and I, and I come back and I sit back in my seat and everyone's like, why didn't you just ask us to pass that to you? And that was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Me not being able to ask for help goes so deep that I can't ask somebody to pass me something at a dinner table. Like,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
don't know what that's about yet, but money was definitely a big thing too.
Yeah, something I hear a lot, well, different people resonate differently. It's like time, money,
Mm-hmm.
energy. I don't have the energy for this right now, or this isn't the right timing, or whatever. And I think you're right in that a lot of those are kind of like excuses that we give ourselves for
Mm-hmm.
something that's going on that's much deeper. So,
Yeah, deserving.
yeah.
Deserving. That was a big thing for me too, right? So it was like, yeah, not just I, I didn't, I didn't consciously think I don't deserve the help, but I think that's where the not wanting to spend the money came from, especially since I'm a stay-at-home mom right now too, right? Like it's,
Hmm.
this we're basically on a one income, yeah, and there's a lot going on financially just around the house and everything right now, so it's like I don't, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting too that, some of the ways I know for myself, I have like had a hard time with committing to kind of bigger things, but I will like, you'll buy the books and we'll do like the little courses and the freebies and all these different things. And we will either invest time or money into, sessions or kind of one-off things. And when I think about it, sometimes I think about all the like time and money I spent over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to like concentrate that down and realize like, wow, actually, like I don't think I'm spending any money, but then, when you add up all of the little pieces and bits and bobs, kind of just like haphazardly, sometimes we can kind of like spontaneously do things. And um, I'm going to talk to you or ask you a little bit about now, like, what do you think is different about the work that we did versus like all of, because I mean, you and I have both read self-help books and we've done lots of different stuff out there. So what makes this different than kind of that piece by piece stuff for you?
um well, first of all, it's the support. um it's the not trying to do it myself necessarily. And then I think there was a big piece in all of my, reading and all other, modalities I've tested throughout the years. Um, there was a piece that was missing, and that was the embodiment piece that you're so big on, and that you're, is the kind of the foundation of your work. Is like, I didn't even realize until I was working with you that I didn't feel safe in my body. Like, that was just, I didn't even, that I can't even say that that's what led me to you consciously anyway. Obviously, you know, subconsciously, and the universe knew different, and that's why we ended up working together. But yeah, that was the biggest. That's those two things: the support, the finally actually having the support, for longer than an hour session or
Mhm.
whatever, um, as well as, yeah, the embodiment piece was just, yeah, huge, so important, so huge.
Awesome. The
Hmm.
the other piece too, so something that we talked about when we first were chatting about working together was like just kind of speed and how that was important for you to kind of speed things up in a little way and like
Yeah.
feel that that helped for you bring things together. Like, how was that experience?
Yeah, so I think that, I think that that's related to the embodiment piece,
Hmm.
because it's like, it's like you could maybe you could maybe get there on your own, after years of like trying this and that and whatever, and figuring out, oh, finally, oh, hey, maybe it's that I don't feel safe in my body. But it's like that's where you start. That's where you're like, okay, no, let's go look here first and see what's up, and it's so that's, I think, what sped things up. But yes, that's what led me to you too, was that you talk about how, hi Ro. You talk about how, yeah, how it doesn't have to take, years anymore. And while we both know there will be, that will never be done, but like we just gather more and more tools, and these things, you're able to work them out quicker, get to the bottom of what's happening quicker, because you just take it back to the body, take it back to, or whatever other, other tools that you've, yeah. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, the embodiment piece for me, it was like a game changer. I mean, it makes things so much easier.
Yeah.
I think we have a
Really.
belief that we have to suffer through, and it has to be hard, and it has to be arduous, and it has to be this like uphill battle. But like, how was your experience through that? Like, did you feel like lighter? Like, what was your experience of going through that through the embodiment kind of lens?
Yeah. Lighter, definitely. Softer. That's been a big thing that I've been feeling lately, is just like I just don't feel so rigid, like in my day to day. Um, and because, yeah, I didn't even think about this before, but I'm just realizing now as I'm talking about it out loud that it's because I was holding on. Like there's so much tension because I don't even realize I'm doing it. But once you're like getting into your body, you can relax those things, and realize that there's nothing to hold on
Yeah.
to.
Woohoo!
And yes, softer. That's been the biggest thing for me. Yeah, more comfortable, and um, and then yes, lighter, less reactive is, with my kids. That's how I was saying to you, a couple weeks ago too. Like we've struggled less because I'm not, I'm kind of setting the tone, and
Mhm.
you know, I'm just more aware of that now.
Something also that you said to me when we chatted a few weeks ago, I think now, was talking about sort of this your capacity to like being not okay or being okay with being not okay, and then
Mm-hmm.
how that has like kind of made you feel more okay. So
Yeah.
you want to talk a little bit about that? Like, what's your experience with that now, and well, yeah, what's that?
Yeah. Um, that's the thing too, is that, yeah, so there's more, some shifts in perspective, which is what healing and magic is really, right?
Totally.
Um, which you are, oh man, so good at facilitating. So good. I'm like, oh, and that's fixed. Yeah. Like, right, Jen, right. Okay. Um, have left me, yes, have left me feeling with more self-compassion. Let's put it that way. So in turn, I'm not so hard on myself when I'm having those bad days, because let's be real, they don't just go away. Um, but I'm just more, um, compassionately curious, as I think I quoted, who's deemed Dr. Gabor Mate coined that
Yeah.
term or whatever. Yeah. Looking at these things with compassionate curiosity. Um, because one thing leads to the other. So being less rigid in my body is because I'm more present to what's going on in my body, so I'm not holding myself so tight. um I'm softer, that's allowing more space to kind of step back and notice when I'm having one of those rough days or just a rough moment or whatever. um because I have the space and I'm not just auto reacting as often. I'll say, obviously that's not it's, again, always a work in progress.
Yeah.
um I I can, one of the autopilot reactions for toward myself was always, oh, now you're feeling like crap again. Like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you pull yourself out of this? That self-talk. So then I would just
Judgment.
completely, yeah,
Yeah.
spiral, right?
You called it the shame spiral when we were talking.
Yeah, just so much shame. And then, of course, it's just shame breeds more shame, and it's just, I just end up like, ooh, in this, like, hole, just feeling crappy for whatever reason in the first place, which I haven't even understood yet because I went into automatic shaming myself for feeling crappy again,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like there's more space to notice when I'm having those rough days or rough moments or whatever, and I can use my tools to pull myself out of it. And one of those tools is, asking for support, which again I was hardly doing, even with my husband. Like I would I would maybe ask for something like him to pick up dinner, but I would feel so guilty about it. So it was just like, oh, it was just like, now I'm just like, I can, text him or call him and be like, I'm having a rough one. Can you get some dinner, or can we order in, or can I, step out for a few minutes when you get home, kind of thing. Like, and it doesn't have to be this big guilt, shame filled thing. Like, it's just,
Mhm.
I'm human. I'm
Yeah.
having a rough one. I need a bit of
Yeah.
time and separation, and or whatever it is that I need, like. And yeah, it's funny too that now that I have that, I can step back a bit, and I'm not as identified with these things. um I can see so clearly that I would feel so guilty about asking him for this, whatever, and he's never minded. He's never, he just wants to support me, right? But like, I was telling myself this story that I was such a burden. Um, and now that I'm not as identified with all this stuff, I'm not so stuck in the middle of it all. I'm just kind of like, I can be the observer. I can see and I can feel from him as an empath that there's like, he doesn't mind. It's just this energy of wanting to support, or, of like this, it's such a neutral energy of like, yeah, no problem. Like, this
Yeah.
is, it's nothing. There's no like, he's not shaming me or judging me on
Yeah.
quietly. He's just like, man, sure, whatever. He's the most easygoing person ever, too. So,
Yeah.
it's helpful to be around.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, two things I know as well that you mentioned were like a huge, huge game changers for you were you said awareness and presence.
Hmm.
And so right now you're kind of talking about like sort of the results of that, of like that giving you these tools to actually be able to like live in a different way. And I love when you were like talking about the tension. This is something that was kind of a game changer for me years ago as well, where, when we kind of release tension in our bodies, it's like the tension in our lives starts to dissolve too, right? Or
Hmm.
yeah, there's like that synergy of like, no, this is not just, like my back is sore or like I've got like a headache or something going on. Like it's like this synergy of the whole energy circle.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, I'm gonna have a like quick look to make sure that I'm like I had a few things I want to talk about, and I actually wrote down like a novel, so we won't
Yeah.
get through the whole novel today. I'm special.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, you are.
an overachiever that way. Uh, but so one of the things I wanted to talk about or mention, well, one is like, so in terms of takeaway pieces, what would you say like is kind of the biggest takeaway for you? Like, what was the biggest game changer for you that you don't think that you would have arrived to either this fast or on your own without the support? Like, what was it that this really helped birth for you?
Um, well, at the risk of repeating myself, just the um, embodiment. Like it's the foundation of your work because you're smart, and it's the foundation of everything else. Like yes, the fact that I have not felt safe in my body for, I don't know how many years. I mean, the one, exercise we went through took me back to when I was a toddler, right? So since then, perhaps. But yeah, so that was the biggest game changer, because it's like once I realized that, then that was, the starting point, that what I needed to work on in order to be embodied, which is what leads you to, more presence, more awareness, more space, this more, the softer presence, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The other thing too that you had mentioned, I can't remember if it was, I wrote it down as it was from either something you wrote me or something you said, was you talked about kind of this healing momentum. And so I was just wondering if you had more insights on that or how this kind of going through this process of embodiment kind of helped you with your own momentum and carrying it forward.
Yeah, that's funny because I have my journal beside me, because I was like, I don't even remember like all this stuff. Like I feel like it's already so integrated that I'm like, what did I even say? Like,
What happened?
yeah, what even
Now
just
what?
happened? Yeah. Um, um, Momentum. Yeah. Again, I think it's just um it's really the having the presence of mind and body, to, and that space around me, I think, is what, um it helps you. Let me see, how can I put this? I'm trying to think about how to articulate this. Uh it's just, yeah, so when, because I feel more spacious, um and I'm not so tense and holding on to things. um there's space, and to kind of look at these things as they come up. Whereas, before, I would kind of only be dealing, I would feel so crappy that I would just, and shame myself for feeling crappy and whatever else, that I wouldn't really, the only time I would get to the bottom of anything or get any, actual like healing done was kind of in those one-off sessions, like a
Yeah.
Reiki session, or therapy session or whatever. Um whereas, and then those things would hit so hard, right? Because it would just feel like a culmination of so many things that I wasn't dealing with. I was just kind of sweeping under the rug for, so long. And now it's kind of like, because I have, I feel more spacious, there's more awareness. When those things come up, I can deal with them in the moment. Or,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, as opposed to, and it just, yeah, I don't know how else to articulate that. Does that
Yeah,
answer your question, sort
totally.
of?
Yeah, it kind of feels like this sense of like almost like, I think sometimes when we go into kind of session by session, it's almost like spot treatment. And then body piece
Yes.
kind of gives us that sense of sustainability and like anchor something to anchor into that's actually solid. Does that make that
Yes.
does that seem kind of what
Yes.
you're trying to articulate?
Yes, yes, 100%. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so it can just help you, like, you can build on that momentum, hence the things happening more quickly
Mhm.
than what we're used to. Yeah.
Awesome.
Um, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've even had like last week kicked my butt like that with I was traveling with my youngest and she had a really hard time kind of not being home, not being around the other half of my family unit. And with so many people around her just wanting to dote on her, right? Because I was back home in Ontario, people don't get to see her, and she's just like, I think she's going to be the only introvert in our family, the rest of us extroverts. So she's like, too many people. Um, but so she had a really rough time. So that was exhausting. And then, yeah, the full moon and fun fact, uh, I now am synced with the lunar cycles ever since I started following them. So, there's some PMS involved there too, some hormonal stuff. It was just like, ugh.
Awesome.
Last week was rough. But there was like these moments of like spontaneous self-forgiveness, which like I'd never experienced before. I just was like laying in bed one morning and just all of a sudden, like I had this revelation and thank you. Um, and I just like yeah had this like a spontaneous self-forgiveness is what I'm
Mm,
calling it. It's just like forgiveness
love that.
for some the decisions that I've made that have led me to maybe feeling more depressed, um just kind of thing. It was just like
Mm.
I just had this, yeah, I can't even, I was like crying, like
Oh,
where is this even coming from? But I was like, this feels so good, like,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's just like I've never had a moment like that before, but it's just again just presence of mind and body and yeah, awareness, space. It's just all yeah, one thing leads to the next and like yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's like a deep unburdening. And, I
Yeah.
want to just mention too, because this is something that you had mentioned. I know you have done a lot of work with this, is like you had mentioned you've done a lot of like cord cutting and letting go work before doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of wanted to mention that because like this process feels more different, like it feels more integrated, like what you're just talking about. And I wanted to mention that too, because this is something that I feel I experience with a lot of other clients. It's something I experienced in my own being as well, is this differentiation between like sometimes when we think we are kind of cutting things and then like the things that kind of stick with us and through us. So can you talk a little bit about how that has kind of shifted for you?
Um, I'm not. Can you ask that again? Sorry, not you don't have to say the whole thing, but I'm trying to
Yeah.
pick out what your question.
Yeah. just in relationship to some of the like the letting go work and the cord like cutting, like the energetic work that you've done before, and
Mm-hmm.
just bringing the embodiment tool and the embodiment piece, like how has that changed being able to actually like let things go? Like how is that different now for you?
Right, right, right. Um, so yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, well, I think so. I think that that's just it. Is that you mentioned, like, all this trying to sort of cut things off and let things go. Um, and but I think that that's almost obviously there are some things that you do let go, but um, I think that we need to be looking at it more from a integration perspective. So I think that that's it is just um, it took me a long time to so all of these I'm very left brained. I want to um, make sense of things in a logical way, right? So it takes me a longer time to come around. Like I can learn a math problem like that, right? But like it takes me such a long time to come around to more abstract concepts. So um like for the longest time, like I didn't even know what integration meant. Like
Hmm.
I was just like, I don't get it, you know? Like
Hmm.
so it's like because there's not really there's a definition for it. There's a clear definition, I suppose, but like I would be like, but how do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, tell me how it's done. And um, it's not really something that you can explain. And I think it happens differently for everybody. And um, but once I got it, it was like, okay, so I didn't focus so much on the letting go of things. It was kind of like, like parts of me or traits that I maybe didn't like or it's kind of like
Hmm.
I feel like I'm not answering your question, but again, I don't know how else to say this.
Yeah, no, I think that you really are like just what I hear you articulating is, and I think that resonates a lot with, me and a lot of people that I work with is, we have this very intellectual side. We're super
Thank
smart.
you.
And sometimes that can kind of get in the way of us actually like getting things and
Yeah.
absorbing things. And it sounds like
Yes.
what I'm hearing too is like that embodiment piece is kind of a, a way to get around or a way to balance that.
Yes. You're right. You just when you said absorbing, that makes me think that that's the key piece is like that's what integration is really is kind of like absorbing, that into your being. Um, and I think that because I wasn't embodied, I was always up here, and somewhere else usually.
Yeah.
Um, um, I that's why you can't really understand those concepts um, because it's not about understanding them with your mind.
Yeah.
It's about integrating them, absorbing them, embodying them, right? So which
Yeah.
you can't do if you're not in your body.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that's exactly it is that's shifted because when you're up here you're always just like I gotta there's so much going on that I felt like I need to get rid of some of it, right? Like how do I let
Mm.
this go, how do I let this go, I need to clear some space, but
Yeah.
really I needed it to come down. into
Yeah.
my body, and not, it didn't have to go anywhere. I just needed to, yeah, embody it, integrate it, really,
Ground. Yeah.
yes, yes,
Ground
yes,
it.
yes, exactly. Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, I
yeah.
think that is super, super helpful. Well, we live in a society, we are, that's how we're raised. So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing and articulating that. I just got the minute warning on my phone saying that it's going to die soon. So I'm going to ask you, in the light of being able to complete this with some sense of closure, I wanted to ask you, what was like, what would, how would you describe this to other people? So if you're telling other people and they're thinking about like doing this process, like who would you recommend it to? And what would you tell them about the process? Like, what do they need to know?
Um, well, I would tell them that, kind of just what I said, that you can't really, you don't know until you know. Like, um, you can't necessarily, you can't logic your way out of feeling depressed. You can't logic your way into healing, or integration, or whatever it is you're looking to do. You may not even know what it is you're looking to do, but that we need to it's trusting in the wisdom of your whole being, um, including your body, is key. So yeah, some things you can't understand through with the mind. You have to embody it. And who would I recommend this to? I guess anybody who's, honestly, everybody. Yeah,
All of you are going to be
yeah,
embodied and we're going to have a revolution.
yeah,
That's my secret dream.
yeah,
World revolution of embodied people, and think about
yes,
what the planet would look like then, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just people who just feel stuck. That was my biggest thing, was I just felt so stuck on this hamster wheel, as they say, going around and around and around and around, because I'm just trying to logic my way out of things. Anybody who feels like they can do it alone, no, you can't.
But I'm so smart, Rachel. I'm
Yeah.
so smart. I can figure it out.
um,
That's
yeah,
kind of our problem, isn't it? We are freaking smart.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, like you just, yeah, anybody who feels like they can, feeling stuck, they can do it alone. They've been, working on themselves for years and years and years, and feel like they're moving, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back all the time.
Yeah.
Um, um, yeah, I mean, your ideas around, um, dealing with anxiety and things like that. So anybody who's anxious, that's why I like it. So everybody. Uh, um, yeah, just, my gosh, yeah, so many people I would recommend this to, because it's just, again, you don't know until you know. You got to go through it until it feels, I can't describe how it feels, um, to really integrate these things, except that I'm feeling less tense, you know, less reactive, softer, all these things, like I said, more spacious. Just, you can't you can't describe those things until you go through it, until you get there, you know? So
Knowing what you know now and feeling what you feel now, would you do it again?
110%. Honestly, yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
100%. I just, there was, like I said, it was like the timing of it, the timing was interesting because I think I mentioned this to you. It was like we had our sort of group closing ceremony, and then the next day, I just felt different. Um, just different, and in all the ways I've already described a bunch of
yeah.
times. Um, and yeah, you don't know until you know. And um, also, I feel like I need to say to people, trust the process because um, you know, it's not, yes, things happen more quickly when you're you know, working through the body,
Mhm.
um, but it's not necessarily overnight or like a one, you know, one-off thing, like, oh,
Mhm.
this one meditation, this one guided journey, this one exercise is not, you know, you got to do the work. um, and you got to keep doing the work even when it feels like maybe you're not necessarily getting anywhere. Trust the process. Yeah.
Yeah, those are some good words of
Yeah.
wisdom. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share?
um I would just wanted to express like my sincere, oh my gosh, gratitude, and appreciation for you and all that you do, and for, yes, for doing the work yourself in order to get here where you are, and sharing that with all of us because yeah, it's so important. Your embodiment revolution. Yes, I love it. So good. It's so important, and so thank you. And I thank the universe for, you know, shoving you in my face.
Oh, oh,
You know, yeah, because yeah, if people listening, if anybody's interested in this, if anybody, you know, go watch Jen's stuff. She has so much free content. She's so generous with that, and it's amazing. And if what she says resonates with you, like there's a reason. You know, you're meant to be watching what she's putting out there, and yeah, don't hesitate because she's a miracle worker.
thank you, my dear. Thank you so much. Well, as I will again just express my gratitude to you, because really, I mean, the miracles that come through are really just like, I like to say that I'm an igniter, because really
Hmm.
what I'm doing is igniting your own capacity to do this work.
Right.
And everyone, and I do believe that everyone has this spark, you know, in cranial psychotherapy, we call it the breath of life. You can call it, you know, flow or force or God or whatever, however it resonates. But that sense of higher intelligence, it's there. We
Yeah.
all have it. We all express it in different ways. And so if I can be of service in helping others to just be able to embody their own selves. Really, that's all that's happening here.
Hmm.
Um, I just think about the world that we live in, you know, just think about the possibilities for our own individual lives, but also for the collective. So thank you for sharing. I really, really appreciate it. And I also just wanted to mention too, so Rachel is part of my group, Moved by Spirit, and she has been generous herself in sharing her gifts. Every Sunday, she does a oracle card reading. We just started a few weeks ago. You were bang on. like, Like you're bang on. So I love, like, I created this group as kind of a space to be able to be safe and kind of play with our intuition, to develop our intuition. It was a place for me to kind of come out of my own woo closet with my healing work too. And so I really encourage you guys to come in there if you're called. It's a great and safe community to be. Check out Rachel, check out her work, and tell us a little bit, like, what's going on for you. Is there anything you wanted to share with the Reiki work that you do? How can people
Mm.
find you? Where are you at?
Yeah, so life is a little bit nutty right now around our household. So I haven't been concentrating too much on my business, but I do have a business. Uh, it is called, um, in its entirety, it's called Revival Within Natural Healing. And it's on Facebook and Instagram. It's at Revival Within Healing, all one word. And yeah, I haven't made a post in quite a while. I kind of go through spurts, and I'll get there. But the point where I'm posting more regularly. In fact, you um, encouraging me to kind of yeah, get my my gifts going in the in the in your Moved by Spirit group is really, it's, I thank you for that, because it's igniting, like you said, you're an igniter. Yeah, it's igniting a spark within me to like to actually, be more consistent with my business stuff too, and maybe try a few things there too. So yeah, if anybody wants to follow me there, I will get to posting more. And yeah, just I have some ideas of places I want to go. I want to expand into a more wellness, well-rounded wellness kind of practice, and not just do Reiki, but that's to come.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into astrology and nutrition, and so hopefully I'll get, I'll keep building. But yeah, that's where I'm at for now.
Awesome. And you are, so Rachel's in BC, she's on the Sunshine Coast. So if
Oh
you
yes.
are in the Sunshine Coast, in that zone, or if you like to travel to the Sunshine Coast,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you can find her physically in the world. And as she mentioned,
Yes.
you can follow her on her social, um, friend her on Facebook.
Yeah.
Definitely go check her out. She's a very powerful force. She's beautiful and brilliant in what she does. And thank you so much for contributing to the group. I'm super excited about it. It's amazing. So come check her out in the group as well. It's Moved by Spirit. And once I edit this, I'm on my phone right now, so I'll post some posts and some links later
Yeah.
on in this video to Rachel, her page, as well as the group page. And I just wanted to reach out again, if there are people who are feeling resonant. The way that you can get in touch with me is you can just private message me. So I kind of go through my process for working with anyone is having a conversation first to make sure we're a great fit. So if you want, like Rachel said, I have lots of free resources, many free workshops. I like to call them play shops. On Moved From Within is my business page. So I'll post a link to that, and maybe to the most recent play shop that I did that was around boundaries for healers and intuitives. So I can post a link to that. But in the events on that page, you will find a plethora of free stuff and resources. And really, again, if it's a money commitment thing, it's a time commitment thing or an energy commitment thing, but you have to commit. So whatever level, there are tools and resources for all of you. So definitely check that out. And if you want to dive more deeply on a personal level, just send me a private message if that resonates with you. I do have 3 openings right now for my 2-month one-on-one program called Deep Courage. So if that speaks to you, just send me a message. And definitely, if what Rachel said resonated, definitely check her out as well. And yeah, is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, I think I'm good. I think I've talked enough.
I too, as you know, like to talk. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for all of the light and gifts that you bring. I feel very honored and fortunate to have met you, to have worked with you.
Mm.
I'm excited to see where things go into the future. I think that we will definitely be doing some things in the future together. So thank you, universe, for bringing us together. Um,
Yes.
Thank you for all the learning. Thank you for being courageous enough, not just to step up to your own work, which is like one thing, but to then bring it out on a public platform. Because again, we need to hear this stuff. It's important. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for having, the willingness to be vulnerable. And that in self is courageous. And I just want to I was watching Brene Brown last week and she talks a lot about, the courage is not really operating with a lack of fear. It's operating from a place of like willingness to be vulnerable and
Mm, yeah.
willingness to be okay with stuff that feels awkward and funky and maybe not okay. And it expands our capacity, like you said, to actually be more okay, to grow, to experience a different state of being. So I thank you for that. And I really look forward to this unfoldment.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everything. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. All right. Mwah, lots of love. Thank you all for watching.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mwah. Take care now. Happy Tuesday,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.